Blaze on, la 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 la.
Amazing. It was great. The best movie I've seen this year, probably.
It was a great origin story showing how he commits to chaos.
The movie just gave me a blueprint for how I'm going to carry out my revolution.
I really enjoyed it. I think people laughed way too much, especially some people in this group. Like, I could tell the amount of sociopaths.
The midget scene was the best scene in the movie. When he couldn't reach the door.
Our group was also, during that scene, we were the only people laughing. It's the most brutal scene in the whole The main character's covered in blood, he just smashed this guy's head into a wall, a midget walks on screen, and like you hear Brandon Wunderlich.
Speaking of skinny sociopaths, Kevin.
This is the most relatable movie I've seen since Bill and Ted. Funny the whole way through, I loved it.
Why you're always nice to the weird kid.
Never seen any Batman after Adam West Batman. I kept waiting for Pal Zach. I cried too. It was really sad.
What about it made you
I
cry?
felt bad for the Joker. He tugged at my heartstrings.
Joker doesn't masturbate nearly enough to be a comedian.
It really hit home with that comedy notebook. That looked like my comedy notebook. I feel like I could be the Joker.
This wasn't even a Joker movie. This is an Arthur Fleck movie.
It's an origin
He became the Joker in the last 15 minutes. A whole different guy. You gotta watch him become it and then see who he is.
The soundtrack.
Yes.
Dude, there's like physical stuff going on and all you're hearing is strings. Like no screaming or anybody, just music. And then they only chose like 2 classic rock songs. Watching a guy in clown makeup after he just killed people, like dancing.
Listening to Cream was great.
And Cream also, yeah.
It hit home for me a lot, the movie.
Yeah, how so?
I'm pretty sure I'm not that funny.
And that's why he's the Joker guy.
Any relatable things to your comedy?
Oh, the 3 dead guys on the subway. Stand-up is a weird thing because it happens at open mics, and whenever there is an open opportunity to speak, the batshit crazy will come. The worst of what humanity has to offer, because it's free and you can just talk. Yeah, I know that guy. I know exactly who he is, and he's got a bad 5 minutes and a good joke about ducks. I'll be nice to him, and maybe I'll be the midget instead of the fat guy.
This movie was the best showing of what it is to find your voice.
Is that what you call what you do on stage now?
Are you being facetious or serious?
Both.
When I started doing stand-up, probably half the time leaving mics going, wow, crushed it, I did really well, I got so many laughs. And then like you go back and listen to it and it's like, ugh, like I thought I did good.
You're in a clown suit, playing in front of kids, and your gun falls out. How can you not tell that on stage?
Characters that we see ourselves in. I think the talk show host too. When he pulls him in and he's like, what I would give to have a son like you.
Yeah.
Right, that was all in his head and stuff. But yeah, I was like, you know, I kind of like felt that.
The naked in the Notebook thing definitely gets done within the comedy scene. I don't get the Notebook thing because I don't, like, I get it, I see other people with notebooks, but like I use my phone.
He had that disorder with the card that he handed to people. I have a mental disorder where I laugh at the wrong time, and we were a group of comedians watching this movie, all laughing at the wrong time. And I think that has to do with being a comic, is like you have like this sense of humor that's just a little off.
Like if you notice when he was writing, he was illiterate. He was writing words wrong, he was writing sentences wrong, he could barely put a sentence together. He had no chance to be a comedian.
It was off beat, like he's on a different beat than, because we are too.
All of his sets are exactly like my sets.
They got so much right. The Notebook right off the bat.
The sense of like purposelessness, just having no control.
What they got the best was like coming back home from a rough day and you want to be consoled by your girlfriend and she doesn't even know she's your girlfriend.
when he's watching that guy taking the notes and he's like maintain eye contact, blah blah blah. So I think it was interesting, like the stuff that he's like a newbie at this, what he decided was like, oh, that's why that guy's doing good.
I guess in that vein, what they got right is like you can feel when someone's like being dishonest on stage. Like his mom said in the movie, you know, don't you have to be funny to be a comedian? Like he wasn't a funny guy, but his goal was to be funny.
The mom, though, she had the narcissistic personality disorder, and she called him happy. There was a level of control. Like, he couldn't be his funny, because his mom, oh, you're happy, always make me happy. Put on a smile, you know what I mean? That was weird with the bathing, though. What was that about? Yeah.
You guys don't bathe your mother?
Makes me wonder how many comics really suffer from mental illness.
Oh,
All of them.
Deanna, you were also a comic. You can't just point the finger at us.
I'm very open about being batshit crazy.
I thought the most relatable line of the movie was, I stopped taking my medication, I've never felt better. And I was like, I feel like that's how like a lot of comedians feel. There's a certain level of craziness that you need to tap into that funny.
I think you should be on your medication. Personally.
I stopped taking my pills like 15 years ago. And,
We know.
The goal of this movie is to get you to find a good therapist. He lost his therapist, that's when things started to get...
Yeah, but the therapist sucked.
She probably wasn't being paid and she knew she was about to get fired and she was just like, they don't give a shit about you, which drove him to murder. If you need therapy, go to therapy. If you need medication, take your medication.
You guys are really trying to halt this revolution I'm trying to start.
I never thought that there were any comics that were in favor of PC culture or censorship or any of
Oh,
that.
there definitely are.
Really?
There definitely are. Yeah, you're just not in New York City enough. I think when you're doing edgy material, you have to run the risk of offending more people because abortion hurts. That shit is not funny. So yeah, if you're gonna make a joke about it, it's gotta be really good.
I think some people forget that a dirty joke still has to be a joke, right? Or else you're just
That's true.
being dirty for no reason.
No, on Facebook, somebody had a post saying we need more offensive comics like Dave Chappelle. I said, offensive comics, no. Offensive comics like Dave Chappelle, yes.
Stop calling Dave Chappelle an offensive comedian. He's just a comedian.
Yeah.
You know, he had jokes that were offensive, and he had jokes that were like very family friendly on that special. Daniel Toshon is offensive.
Jesselnick.
Jesselnick is an offensive comedian, not Chappelle or Burr.
But do you support those other comedians also?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Chappelle takes the stance he never apologizes. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's words. Actions matter, right? So it's like, it's words. If you get butthurt, I'm sorry.
I'm sure he regrets
give
some
it a
of the
moment.
things that he says though. Like there's a reason that he's taking
Yeah.
people's phones away.
I think he doesn't want people stealing his act.
Yeah.
I think you
that's
can
the biggest
record
thing.
an entire hour and a half set and then post it on YouTube.
That's true.
They happened to Louis C.K. earlier this year.
Eddie Murphy said he regrets his early stuff on homosexuality and some other things.
I think that he had to say that.
Why?
Because didn't he get caught with the trans woman? Is that why he's apologizing?
Probably. I think he also doesn't age really well.
In other words, something could be edgy back then, more acceptable at that time, and now we grow as a society and we say, yeah, now we're punching down.
Jokes today would be offensive to people back then, and jokes from back then are offensive to people today. It's just about like...
That's true, yeah.
When is somebody too offensive? Is there such a thing?
When he shot the dude dead, joke's over. He's the only one laughing at it. That
Only
I
one
think
that I
that
was laughing.
line was crossed. I think they were trying to make a point about comedy subjective, but there's always a line you cross, and if people stop laughing, then you defeated its purpose. You gotta work that line, and as a comedian, you gotta cross it sometimes to see where it is.
There was something really relatable. Like, I felt like he was pushed to being this. He wanted to be like a good person and like the happy clown.
Like, the opening scene is him getting his thing stolen and then getting his ass kicked.
Yes!
I don't think I would say that I was pulling for him or that I was like on his side or whatever. It was like, oh, that's up, that's sad.
I mean, who hasn't loved a murderer before?
We do love you, like Yobs, you're right.
Subway rider that's late at night, and I'm wearing like whatever shoes, and this guy's like looking at them, and he's like, nice shoes, bro. And then he was like, I want to wear those around my parts, and he's just like f***ing with me, and I'm like with this girl. I'm feeling emasculated by this guy, and I was just like, man, if I had a gun, that's the fantasy. The minute that frat boy's drunk and f***ing with him, I'm minding my own business, don't f*** with me. me. I just want to get home. I'd love to have the power to be like, nobody with me because they know I might kill them.
I was kind of surprised when he shot him. I really was.
I feel like I was waiting for
gonna
that.
admit that we want to kill someone slowly throughout this. Like we're all just gonna get to that point where like, yes, I would kill. I would kill.
Why would you want to murder the person?
That first scene was shot in downtown Newark. And really, if there was a clown out there, there would have been kids that whooped his ass in real life too. Some of my students would definitely do that.
The reason why people relate to the Joker is because, especially nowadays, we preach inclusivity, but we're not inclusive at all. We're probably the least inclusive that we ever been. And there's a lot of people who are on the outsides, on the fringes, which is why we have all right, all left, all everything, and they feel alone. It's the reason why people listen to Slipknot. Slipknot doesn't make sense in culture. Everyone saw themselves in Joker a little bit. He's everyone because he's a loser, and everyone feels like a loser sometimes.
I mean, I just related to him because I felt as a woman in comedy, as an old woman in comedy, it's isolating. Joker was isolated, you know, so that's why I think I cried in the movie. I was like, I feel you, bro. And I cried for myself because I'm afraid of what I might do in the future.
Okay, we're done. Let's wrap up. No.
To be honest, I could not sleep last night because I was just so scared. Like I was watching reviews for the movie, and then right before I was about to go to sleep, I was like, "Oh, this theater could get shot up tomorrow." Like I thought,
If you brought a gun,
I don't think I'm allowed to own a gun.
I don't think.
It was fun. I was like, I didn't know whether or not to bring my own ammunition to the movie.
I was hoping they were going to shoot it up because I was trying to get a settlement, you know. I got to pay these student loans out. You know?
Shooting though, was anybody else concerned with that tray that like locked you into the seat? Like, oh man, what happens? I can't get out of here.
This movie is also the reason why I don't own a gun.
We have to watch Yobs dance alone.
Like, I think you're being serious, right? Was it disturbing?
Disturbing? No, isn't that how people live?
Killed his mom. He definitely turned into the Joker there. Once he killed her, Arthur Fleck was dead. He puts on the makeup and he starts dyeing his hair. And I think that's really the moment where it's like, that's the big change.
He kills those 3 people. He enjoys seeing that story on the news.
He's an orphan. Like his whole life was a lie. I think that's when he becomes a Joker because he's no longer who he thought he was.
He was looking for identity. I feel like he didn't have an identity, and it was like I'm able to define myself. And I think like as comics too, like that's what we're striving towards is like I'm gonna define myself, bitches, not you.
I don't think that there was a point where he became the Joker. He really didn't have like one personality. He was all over the place.
He says that joke about the guy getting hit by a drunk driver.
Yeah.
And they start bullying him, and he's like, comedy subjective. And I had that moment like a week ago to Friday where I was just bombing. He's like, you know, people don't like jokes about mentally handicapped people. You can't handle the truth. So I understood him in that moment.
He kissed that old woman like he wanted to kiss the black chick.
That's when I think the moment. I think that's when he's the Joker. The gusto that takes, that whole feeling of just power. Everybody's watching me do this.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do it as long as I want.
I actually caught him masturbating in the theater.
Why would I ever masturbate to a movie about me?
The woman on the other side of me was getting very uncomfortable every time you laughed. Then I sit down, and then he's like hitting himself during certain parts, and she's looking over like, oh my god, speaking at a conversational level. Do you want fries? No, I'm okay. I'm watching the movie. Thanks.
I realized how many psychotics I know.
Brandon could never be the Joker because he doesn't have that level of to aspire to kill people that a skinny psychopath has. Like Brandon would never.
The Joker ran really fast.
I was gonna say, like he would be angry, but I'm gonna kill someone, and then he was like, burgers and fries. It would be over.
I think skinny people have more anger because they're hungry all the time.
Was that makeup on your side of your face? I thought it was a pimple at first. Oh.
Yeah, more. Definitely more.
Yeah, it has to be like a.
Yeah.
I mean,
More cartoon looking. Yes.
If she gets pulled over on the it's gonna be a fun
I just saw the Joker movie.
I think you understand.
It's like every girl I've ever. Thanks.
You've made a mess.
I'm gonna follow up with crying, so it really
Crying and yelling at me and throwing my. Telling you she's pregnant with not.
Tell her she's pretty, for God's sake.
Oh, you're pretty. Am I pretty?
Please, oh, please, oh, la 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 la. Please, oh, please, oh, la 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 la. Please, oh, please, oh, la 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 la. Please, oh, please, oh, la 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 la. Please, oh, please, oh, la 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 la. Please, oh, please, oh, la 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 la.